conferences that she shared a video from CBS News on this wonderful person who embodies, she used the example of Ron King as an example of someone who embodies mattering and how they found mattering throughout their life, but a little bit later in life. And everybody loved it, and I loved it. And while she was still speaking, I was looking up his website. Sorry, Keeney, but I did. While you were still talking, I was like, I got to get in touch with this guy. He was so nice. He immediately responded. You'll hear his story, but I can't thank Ron enough, who's here with us. And Ron, I've made you a co-host so you can share if you need to share anything. I can't thank Ron enough. He's been so generous as to do this with us for not very much money. We're just going to make a little donation to Oscar's Place, which you'll hear about in a minute. And he's allowing us to record it because I think his story would be really helpful for other folks, but also for youth. And youth couldn't make it today because it's finals week. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to let Ron tell you more about himself. Ron, thank you so much for joining us all the way from sunny California. Maybe next time you can visit us in Maine. I don't know if you've ever been here, but we'd love to have you. So take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and good morning, everybody. I had a baby a couple of hours ago, and so I'll be a little bit distracted, I think. And I run this farm on my phone, so my phone will be going off the whole time, but we're going to get through this. So the CBS feature was amazing. About 17 million people saw it. Talk about your 15 minutes. I definitely was flooded with outreach. And your email sort of spoke to me because I was a youth who almost didn't make it. And had struggles of my own. And, I just turned 53 a couple of weeks ago. And at this stage of my life, I'm really thinking about how can I make a difference? And unfortunately for me, the only way I've really been able to do that is to be extremely vulnerable and open. And so I've just decided to share my story with as many people as possible, even though it probably doesn't make me look that good. And so I did develop this for youth because I think that they're the ones that need to hear it. I think that the work that you guys are doing is incredible. I mean, even when I was a youth, if I even knew that there were 25 people who cared enough to get together and talk about me mattering, that alone would have made a difference, much less the work that you're going to do. So just the effort is very commendable. So I'm going to hop in. I'm going to go through this very quickly because I'd like to give you a few minutes to ask me to hone in on whatever specific parts of the presentation spoke to you. So let me just jump in. We'll pray to the technology gods. All right, so we're going to talk about my bumpy, clumsy, and unexpected path to joy. We'll start with just a quick intro video of who we are.
This is Oscar's Place, where we open our hearts and barn doors to give donkeys a better life. Every animal here has had a rough journey. Our team works tirelessly around the clock on the physical and the emotional rehabilitation of each donkey. And we are committed with everything we have to provide them with the safety and love they deserve for the rest of their lives. The process of helping them heal and learn to trust again has forever changed our lives as caregivers. Donkeys are capable of deeply connecting with us on an emotional level. They can experience love, friendship, and joy as clearly as fear, sadness, and loneliness. They deserve better. They deserve our compassion. They deserve to heal. By supporting Oscar's Place, you too can have a direct impact on loving them back to happiness. Please join us in our mission to raise awareness of these intelligent, loving, and often overlooked animals and their current plight of being silently wiped out around the globe.
So if I were sitting in this room, my question would be like, why is this dude here talking to me about donkeys? And of course, this isn't a story about donkeys. This is a story about addiction and recovery and hope and despair, and ultimately joy. And then the thread that goes through this entire journey is one of resilience. It just so happens that my area of finding impact happened to be in donkeys. So to quickly go over the path, in my teens, I had a rough teen. I was a gay son of a Southern Baptist preacher, and they just weren't equipped to deliver any sort of message about mattering. Don't really even think it was their fault. And I really realized at a very young age that nobody had my back, and that was the way my life was going to be. And then, I specifically remember we moved a lot. I remember I moved when I was a junior in high school. Somebody saw me at the grocery store and invited me to a party. I went to a party and I got wasted. And I remember in that moment, realizing that the people at the table were laughing with me and not at me. And that moment was a life-saving moment for me because I had been picked on and laughed at for a decade. And I very quickly equated the fact that I was wasted, and then now people liked me, and then I didn't stop drinking and doing drugs for a decade. So I hit rock bottom in my 20s. I got sober when I was 26. That's a whole story in itself. In the 30s, I started building a life back up. It's a slow building process, but I built it back up. On August 18th of 2000, I broke my neck swimming in the ocean, had a little setback, built back up again. I got skin cancer, had a little setback, built back up again. I was flying pretty high in my 40s. I adopted a young African-American kid named Shane when he was 11 years old. I built together a nice career. I was in a really loving relationship. And then it all sort of fell apart. So, in my late 40s, I left my career happily. I was given a package to leave. I left my career. I started freelancing. COVID hit. I was also newly single, and I was in a relationship for 13 years with a guy who I thought was going to be my family forever. And when I found that gone, I felt very insecure and clumsy about moving forward. Only one person had seen me naked for 13 years. So I just didn't know how to move forward, and I felt really stuck. And I made the decision to go onto an app and to hire a hustler just to help me sort of jump in the deep end and get back in the game. And I got HIV from that interaction. And so I found myself at 49. I had worked really hard. I had built a life for myself that I felt like mattered. I had lived a life beyond my wildest dreams. I had also really mismanaged my money. So I was single, HIV positive, unemployed, with no retirement at the age of 49. And I was very confused about how I worked so hard and I had things going so well that I ended up in this place of despair. And I share that with you because it wasn't losing my job that almost took me out, and it wasn't the ending of my relationship that almost took me out. It was a combination of it all, sort of culminated by the fact that a decision that I made, me being stupid for a moment, at 48, 49 years old when I should have known better, put myself in this position. And so I was deep despair. And then just a few years later, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I think that is a critical thing to talk about, because if you would have told me that I was going to find joy again, I would have told you were crazy. If you told me that I was going to find joy again, I was going to be a farmer with dirty fingernails, I for sure would have said, you have no idea what you're talking about. So we may not know what joy looks like. I happen to believe that joy is out there for everybody to have, but sometimes we have to let go of our definition and let the world or life or your higher power sort of guide you to what that is. And then once I got out of my own way, happiness came. To me, one of the critical moments of finding this was determining the difference between joy and enjoyment. This just happened. People think that I'm joking, that I knew this in my 20s, but I just remembered. I didn't know this. I didn't know there was a difference. And it was only here in the last year and a half that I realized that those are two different things, and that I had been working my whole life to fill my life with things that I enjoyed. So I worked really hard to have that Mercedes and to do that global travel and to wear these nice clothes. And I enjoyed those things. There's nothing wrong with them. None of those things actually brought me joy. So when I sat down and said, okay, what brings me joy? When I look back at my life, the times that I've been the most joyful for me have been when I've been having an impact. And so when I've been having an impact on something outside of me, I have been full of joy. When I took in an 11-year-old boy and took him from being a middle school dropout to graduating valedictorian, that was a time of pure joy for me. And it had nothing to do with me and everything to do with somebody else. So then I identified impact and I set out on a journey to find ways in which I can have impact. Once I did that, then the press came. So once I found my joy and was willing to sort of, in a very vulnerable way, share my story, the press has just been crazy. CBS Morning came out. This is how we've come to meet. And I'm going to share with you a sizzle reel for a reality TV show that we are filming that will be out in November, because it sort of quickly tells my history and shows you just a slightly different approach to the donkeys.
Everybody loves donkeys.
Hey, buddy.
They just might not know it yet.
Donkeys have a reputation for being stubborn, but they're very intelligent. They put off an energy that you can feel, whether it's curiosity, love and gratitude, frustration. Now, when they relax, they exhale, and their head gets really heavy. They have so much personality. I have never worked harder in my life.
Hang in there.
And I've never been happier. I was a media executive. I ran 7 magazines. My portfolio was $506 million. Fashion shows twice a year in Milan. Completely different life, and I'm really glad I lived it. One day, I saw a video of a woman. She wanted to save all these donkeys, but she had nowhere to take them. A donkey had never entered my mind, ever. And I thought, animals bring me joy. Having impact brings me joy. I called her. I said, I have a farm. If you rescue donkeys, will you bring them to me? And we launched Oscar's Place. I have run massive businesses in my life. I really thought this would be a walk in the park. So Goose is a nibbler, and he will eat your camera. Everyone else is pretty sweet. When we bring in new donkeys, our lives are turned upside down for 60 days. 30 new animals to learn. Many of them are sick. Testing and taken to the hospital. Lice treatment, parasites, literally starving to death. Then the emotional rehabilitation starts, and that's different work.
There you go.
No matter what your job is, 50% of your day needs to be hands-on donkey.
The time that you spend with them, the feeding them day in and day out, they give back. Oh man, look at that smile.
I have a very small but a very hardworking team.
When I got here, Ron busted out a clipboard, an Excel sheet.
Okay, here's the city slicker. I don't know how long this is going to last. And oh my gosh, he has put his heart and soul into this place.
Parte de mi trabajo es también medicarlos. I mean, this guy here won't leave me alone.
Really, I work for the donkeys. I work for Ron.
Viejo, there's someone over here almost as good looking as you. Don't go say hi. These donkeys will thrive and be happier as a member of a family. We have a very strict adoption policy. If somebody says to me, oh, I want 2 medium brown ones with dark stripes, I deny their application because it sounds like a Gap catalog. One of my very favorite donkeys has been adopted, and I nursed him back to health, and I don't want to say goodbye. My mission is, if you're here, I've got you. You good? There's 6 of us. In year 1, we'll have saved 100 donkeys. What a good boy. They deserve to live a life without fear and abuse. Good morning. And I know what steps to take to make that happen. So I do it. Eye patches.
Slightly different approach. So I wanted to share with you 2 quotes that have really guided my life over the last however long. And I think about them all the time. And I think, you know, one of the things that I would like to say to youth is that one of the unfortunate things about life is that we have to learn our own lessons. You know, if we could give everyone a pill that would allow a 30-minute window for my lessons to go into your brain and heart, then your life would be completely different. But it just doesn't matter. Like, we can say it and say it and say it and say it, but unfortunately, we have to learn these lessons ourselves. So I share these 2 quotes because if 5% of my struggle or my coping helps you, that's way more than I thought. So I think about this all the time. We must all suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. This has been the case my whole entire life. I am sober, I am disciplined. It is not a very easy life. There is pain involved with being so disciplined. There's pain involved with not hanging out with the cool kids. But I would rather feel that pain than the pain of regret. And my HIV diagnosis is a perfect example. I let go of my discipline for a moment because I was insecure, because I was horny, because I was scared. And now I live with that regret and it's not going to go anywhere. So the pain is inevitable. The choice of whether it's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret is ours. Then the next is from Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? But actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And even today, this was an encouraging quote for me because, you know, I don't want to tell this story to 25 people I don't know. But playing small isn't really going to help anybody, is it? So I've committed myself to impact and to being vulnerable. So my hope for you, if you're struggling, is that you hold on, that you continue to take the next indicated right step, that you find your joy, that you be disciplined, and that you realize that you matter. And listening to this conversation about mattering, your community can help you realize you matter. Your school can help you realize you matter. Your home can help you, but you can also create a life for yourself that matters. You can also raise your hand and think about work and think about impact, and you can start to take actions that even if nobody else does what they're supposed to do, you can matter on your own. Okay, that's it. I'm sorry, I was trying to be very conscious of time. So I hope it wasn't too fast or too slow for your taste.
Oh, Ron, that was amazing. I want you to keep sharing that info and for you to stay here if you can a little bit. If anybody wants to share a comment, you've gotten some comments in the chat. I've gotten comments from folks. I just want to say, Ron, you exceeded my expectation. I knew from that CBS story that it was going to be good. You exceeded that. You are an amazing person. You have touched 26 people's lives here, and we will, a lot of us here will go out and spread the word, because a lot of us here today are, we've got legislators, we've got people representing our US senators, we've got state leaders, we've got local leaders, we've got people in recovery, we've got coalition members. So we're definitely going to share this, and I hope everybody on the call today will consider a donation to Oscar's Place. Your words have been so inspiring. I was smiling so much that helped me not cry, because I wanted to cry several times. But
me too.
I just want to say, Ron, one thing that really strikes me when you're talking about the donkeys is that you could be talking about our children too. And if we could only get people in our communities to feel the way about their children in their community, the way you feel and treat your donkeys, we would not have any problems in our world. So I mean, they don't thought about that analogy, but go ahead.
They don't talk back to me, so it's a little bit easier. But yes.
It's so cute.
I also want to say, Ron, I haven't gotten the pleasure of meeting you yet. Nice to see you. I work with Sally. In the prevention world, you really have to walk a delicate tightrope between bringing in stories of recovery and then having it resonate the right way and then educate after. And your presentation just nailed it.
Yes.
You nailed it, and we appreciate you and we thank you and we're inspired by you.
We will definitely share this with our schools, Ron, with your permission. And you could get back to me afterwards. I'm sorry, we just have maybe 1 or 2 youth on the call. But we would love to be able to share this again with schools. If you want to think about that going forward.
I don't need to get back to you. I mean, I'm doing this to be helpful.
That's awesome.
I'm not doing this to raise money for Oscar's Place. And so go help people.
Well, thank you. You're amazing. And I don't know what to say other than I wish I still lived in California. I used to live out there because I think I would quit my job and see if I could work with you. Does anybody?
I would just to get his website address, because I'm sorry, that's
Yes.
fabulous.
Yes, ronkingthatshit.com. And then
So I'll tell you quickly about that. So that is a 13 episode podcast.
Oh, nice.
Basically, I had several people come to me and say, you have stories in your life that it's almost selfish to not share. And I'm a pretty guarded person, but of course I was, I don't want to say I was a bigwig, but like I was an executive in New York that could not be this vulnerable, right? So I couldn't share these stories in my previous life. And so I found a moderator, a woman named Libby Delana, who I didn't know, but I like very much. And she moderated 13 very short discussions about 13 different things. And that's there if anybody wants it.
That's awesome.
It's free and it's on all platforms and it's not for profit. It's just there.
Oh, that's super. And the website, the Oscar's Place, is that just oscarsplace.com?
Oscarsplace.org.
.org, sorry, oscarsplace.org. So anybody want to comment? You can unmute yourself, or Ron, I can't thank you enough.